Welcome, chummers, to Shadowrun Takedown. This is Takedown. Shadowrun Takedown. Speaking of taking down,
Well, we're going to break it down.
I was just... breakdown, takedown.
All the components, right? We're going to break them down.
This guy just took us down in a playthrough.
Well, I may have omitted some key details. I had some pre-mission briefing from on high.
Catalyst and Lynnvander often prank each other, and Lynnvander prank each other, and Catalyst pranks each other. It's a big cannibalization of pranking, and we had a really fun little joke that happened. You'll have to watch the playthrough video with Chronostatic and Leroy, these two guys in the box right here, as we went through a introductory level mission. But this video in particular is all about the components of the game that you're hoping to back on Kickstarter right now as you're watching this. I am Tommy, one of the inceptors of the game, and this is Josh.
Yeah, I'm graphic designer and one of the developers on the game.
And develop it you did. So, we've got a whole bunch of stuff here to look at. Look at this lovely overhead shot chock full of componentry.
Yeah, this is a little bit more than you might have all in front of you while you play. You will have like a map for your scenario, and the mastermind will have this little sheet, and you'll have this little sideboard with all of these components on it and the alarm track. But we're going to kind of just walk through each component and give you an overview of kind of what's what here.
Do you want to just pick random components, or do you have an actual introduction?
I'm going to talk specifically about the game board first, because I think it feeds into everything else.
Okay, let's do it.
So all of the runs you're going to go on as your group of Shadowrunners, you're going to work your way through various buildings, warehouses, smash and grabs, labs, the works, right? They're all going to be represented by these boards made of modular tiles. And there are an awful lot of these in the box.
Oh, I see. And they're double-sided, too, for
they are
maximum modularity.
Yep. And most of them have walls printed on every side. Some of them actually have roads. So, for example, that's actually a street.
See that? Oh, wow. It's for the gangers.
Yeah, well,
out in the Seattle sprawl,
yeah.
Or in this case, the
You're not always
sprawl.
indoors. Sometimes you're doing both. You're indoor, outdoor. And then we use these little door tokens right here
I see.
to show you where the rooms are connected and by what. So there's actually, the door tokens come in a couple of different flavors. There is a standard regular door, which just has a defense value and can be opened easily. And then there are 2 levels of security doors that have tests on them. You need to actually deck your way into those doors.
Right.
Or you can destroy them, but they're much, much more reinforced.
And the doors that have tests on them, you can break the doors. So you get this cool little break token. So if you've busted the door now has a permanent opening, because I believe opening the doors are action economy, and enemies can close the doors on you. So if you're wondering why there's this pile of broken tokens, you can actually have that to break a door.
There may or may not also be an upgrade that lets you create a door.
Oh.
Because of course that's how the map's laid out. But there are also all of these 3D objects that you're going to populate the map as you play. Some of them will be there when you start the mission, and that's listed out on the mission sheet for that layout. Others will come from the sideboard over here, and there's a whole bunch of different categories.
Let's look at the here. Grab some of these things.
Yeah,
Hold them up here.
So we got
this. What is this?
That's a shrine.
It's a shrine.
It prevents magic from being used properly in the room.
It's an anti-magic shrine.
Basically.
It's very Armarian.
Yeah, and then we've got an EM field. That's a similar thing, but for tech. It's hard. You can't really use all your decking ability in that room.
Okay.
There's a couple flavors of just generic things to hide behind. We got a desk.
Cool. So this is a 3D tokenry. Look at this guy. You made these, right?
Yeah, ages ago.
Yeah. Oh, there's a little briefing of Lynnvander on top of that.
Well,
gotta represent. So these guys.
It's always our payday.
These things just kind of slot together. You can glue them together if you want. But
well, these are prototypes. The final ones will fit much more tightly.
Yeah. This is pretty good. It's quite robust.
Yeah. So there's columns. There's a desk. There's your corporate potted plant, as you got to have.
Soy plant.
We've got the terminal, little software terminal there, and that's you're going to use them throughout your run to either open doors remotely or get at safes. And there's a couple of other things that can be done mission specific wise.
You'll see some of that in the playthrough video.
And then there are of course safes, which are your main way of getting more loot on the run. I mean, you can spend
safe, grab some loot.
Yeah, you can spend your pay data, your nuyen, between runs to buy more items, because everything in this gear deck of cards here has they've all got various costs and stuff in the bottom corner.
Oh man, an Ares Predator. Why couldn't I have got this in the last game? Make a ranged attack against me though. That would have been useful.
Super handy, right?
That would have been super handy.
Or lightning
bolts. My God, yes please.
I think
Yes,
Chronostatic doesn't have the right keywords for some of this gear. So every gear card has the neon value, the deck it comes from. Some of them have these little slots for assigning dice because you have to put some of your action economy on.
The chameleon suit here is basic gear, it says.
Yeah.
And it's got these 2 dice slots. Any dice as part of your dice component, and enemies are basically, you're invisible from enemies, which is cool. Whereas this one's got...
This one you have to assign this particular die.
Does that mean you have to roll it and put it on there, or just like...
I believe so.
There we go. You put it on there, and then away you go.
And you get to stun an enemy. But, you know, if you're a decker already and you've got this symbol on your character card, then you just get it.
It's almost like synergy.
Yep. So let's look at the actual character cards, because all of those gear have keywords on them, and you'll have to be the correct kind of character to be able to use that gear. So Leroy here would be Cyberware Matrix Demolitionist. So he can take Cyberware upgrades, and he can carry items that have the Matrix or Demolitionist keyword.
I see.
Whereas like you wouldn't be able to carry a Matrix item if you're a Hellhunt, I believe. Because you are hermetic and stealthy.
Hermetic and stealthy. So this is interesting here. So you got the front half of the card, as you can see here,
Yep.
but then in the back half, it has something else completely different.
Right. So, I mean, ultimately the game is about being a group of runners. However, not all of you will be in the building going through the run at one time unless you choose to. One of you will be the mastermind who gets this wicked oversized player screen here. So
God.
it has actually got a complete...
You can like literally both hide behind this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so what do we do with this?
Well, we actually read the back of it when we're the mastermind because it's got a quick reference for what all the various objects do.
Oh my God.
And then all the enemies, and then some additional info about doors.
It's like a DM screen.
It is almost a
Shadowrun.
DM screen because the mastermind will have this map of the level here, which tells you where everything is, and that's your just setup guide for the beginning of the mission. But these little zones around the corner, you see there's an arrow here that points to this little card zone. During setup, we know for sure all of this stuff is public because it's on the table in front of us.
Yes.
But there's this deck of room cards that are basically a reference to what is going to be in each room. So they get a little bit extra information here as the mastermind. You're going to be able to look up and see, oh, well, in this part of the map, that's an L-shaped room, so it's got a sensor grid and a drone in addition to whatever is printed on the map.
So it tells you what's in there.
Yeah, so the mastermind actually has perfect information, but the challenge is going to be to communicate that to the runners in a way that is useful to them rather than just being like, well, this is that, and that's a this, and this is that, and before the runners have just, their brains have melted.
And on the back of the various cards, it has a mastermind description, and each of the mastermind roles have a specific power.
Right, because it depends on who you leave behind. So whichever of your runners is going to try and orchestrate the mission from outside brings a different ability to the run that everybody can take advantage of.
For example, Chronostatic, me. Once per turn, any runner rolls dice, adds the face symbol. So if it's Chronostatic, it's the face. If it's Hellhunt, it'll be a magic symbol. If it's Leroy, it'll be a Decker symbol. Which, depending on the mission briefing, you can decide who gets to be the mastermind.
Like do you want your best Decker in the mission because there are doors he's going to have to open, or do you want your best Decker giving everybody bonus decking symbols by running the show?
And then, once per player phase, when you are the active player, you may move one yellow enemy up their movement without controlling their movement. Oh,
you just decide where they go.
Yeah, that's really cool. So everybody has their own...
Yep.
Okay.
All the runners. So again, picking who's going to be the mastermind in your party for any given mission is a really strategic choice.
That is awesome.
But you're not locked into it because the mastermind's going to see all the hidden data behind the map during setup and going to kind of guide that play. But they also, if they want to, can voluntarily trip the alarm to come in and help you directly. So they can actually just be on the run.
What does that mean?
So every scenario has some kind of clock. It is typically a real-time one. There's a sand timer, and that's round to round. So the players only have a limited window to do their actions.
And the purpose of this, just to quickly, sorry to interrupt, the purpose to this is that we wanted to try and, in terms of the feel and design of the game, when you're playing Shadowrun, or when you're pretending, or when you are a Shadowrunner, you are going through a mission in real time, and it's very difficult to play a game like this in real time. There are games out there like Space Alert and stuff like that do have real-time componentry to it, but we wanted to do a breakdown phase and then an actual live time, and this is supposed to give you that rush and feel for when you're doing the mission portion of the game,
Well-
when everyone's kind of yelling and screaming at each other to try and figure out what to do next.
Yes. And it's actually worse because the mastermind is the one who's supposed to manage it, and there's only 4 spaces on this. Well, this one has 4 spaces, but there are spaces, so you may have multiple minutes for the whole player phase, but the timer's only 30 seconds, so the mastermind has to make sure it never actually runs out
And if it runs
by
out,
watching it and flipping it over.
if the mastermind gets too ingrained in having conversation with the players and the timer runs out like it just did right there,
Yeah.
and then the mastermind notices that,
Player phase is over.
player face is over.
Any
Which is
actions you haven't done
super-
yet.
And it's kind of like those situations in Shadowrun when you kick the door down, you think you got a good grip on it, there's a monkey wrench in there, and you're going through that paralysis moment. You're like, what
Yeah.
do we do? And then you just, everyone's played Shadowrun like this. Everything goes to crap, and that's when all of your grenades and things start going off.
Yeah,
right?
we really tried to capture that,
Yeah.
that feel.
So I just wanted to talk about the timer. So there's this timer, and then there's this timer over here.
Yeah, this is the actual like round counter, but it's not really rounds. It's actually total alarm presence or corporate response to your break-in.
Interesting.
So this little token on this track tells you how far you are towards triggering the alarm, and depending on the scenario, it will tell you, maybe it resets a second time, and if it fills up again, then it'll be locked down.
Right.
Then you'll lose. Or sometimes you only get the one track. But every time that your runners are seen by enemies, or when you defeat enemies and take them off the map, so you're taking out those guards who are patrolling.
Which you have to do anyway, which is kind of progressing the game forward anyhow.
Yep. All of those things are going to cost time.
Including traps and things like cameras and trip wire.
Right. So here's the thing, though. If you don't have a lot of alarm to play with, it may be really wise to take a very stealthy approach, using the obstacles to hide behind, using your stealth powers, so that you move this token fewer times and get more rounds of player dice to actually get things done. Sneak through, open safes, hack terminals.
Classic Metal Gear until you trip the alarm.
Trip the alarm.
And that's when all the guns go blaring. And
Or until your mastermind says, hey, I'm coming in to help, and sets the alarm off.
so what is this mastermind coming in to help thing? I know, but the audience. So
well, we mentioned that you get the backside of whichever runner you leave behind on the run gets the backside with the mastermind power. They're not like out of the game, though. They can decide to come in at the starting point of the mission as a runner any point during the mission. If that happens, they just take the player screen and set it aside. They're now just another one of you. Any of the intel they had from the milk run on the on the mission card for whatever rooms they had info to, those all get discarded and you shuffle out new ones.
So let me get this straight. And hopefully you've watched this video. You could have come in to help us.
I could have. I also didn't do that.
When you watch the video, or if you've watched the video first, you'll of the playthrough, you're probably laughing right now. But you know who's not laughing? Me. You know who is laughing? This guy.
Yep, that was good.
So, okay.
You guys drew all the aggro, and I just watched from the security camera.
So we've got this giant, this is all obviously prototype phase game.
Yeah,
componentry.
it's pretty close. The game will have pretty much these components, and they largely look like this. Some of the art is, well, most of the art's actually not really final. The character art is close to final.
Yeah.
But everything else is very much still a prototype. The last component we didn't talk about is also part of the real time. So we were talking about how the players have a limited sand timer window to do stuff in. They can't just do stuff in whatever order they want during that phase. This active player token initially starts in the hands of the mastermind, who then assigns it to a player, and only the player who's holding that token gets to do stuff with their dice.
In any combination or order. You have to at least spend the bare minimum of action economy, which is 1 die, I believe.
Yep.
But you can spend 1 die or do one small thing, and then you can pass that token to another player.
Right. So, but everything that your runner can do on a turn is a set of 5 dice. And you're typically either spending a dice to move, you can spend 1 to move 1 space, and you get a regular move of a number of spaces depending on the runner, usually 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But you also use these dice, as many as you want, to make tests. So there's a bit of a push your luck mechanic of like, well, that door's really tough. Do I think I can get it with 3 dice? Or am I going to need to throw 4 dice or even 5 dice at it, letting me do less on my turn if I focus a lot on doing one thing really well?
And all the dice faces are, as you would expect in terms of the game. You got you got the mask for the face, the gun for the street samurai, you have the lightning bolt for the mage, the decker head for the decker, and then you have 2 additional symbols. One is always a fail, I believe.
Yep, Edge and Cyber they're
Edge
called.
and Cyber were called. So if you get the Cyber, you're in trouble. If you get the Edge symbol, you get it's like getting Edge. It's a wild. It is one of the best symbols in the game, and they have a color differential to them. But because they're all different symbols, we're being colorblind conscious. Yeah, and these dice are your full economy in the game.
Yep. Sometimes when you take injuries, so the main way that you actually get hurt and get knocked down, enemies will roll your own pool of dice against you when it's their turn to act. And if they succeed with their rolls, they give you injury tokens.
I love these tokens.
So you get a token. There's a pile of them. They're all double-sided. You mix them up face down at the start of the game. You draw the injury, and on the back, it does something to mess up how your character works or what kind of math you get on your various tests. Maybe you lose a dice. Maybe your movement's reduced.
Right.
Maybe certain tests are worse for you.
And you can hold a number of tokens, up or down, face up or face down, equal to the amount on your heart icon here on the character sheet. So, for example, the Street Samurai can have 6 injury tokens before going down, whereas the face can only have 5. And obviously, because Street Samurais can take a beating. But the injury tokens, I mean, as you will see in the playthrough, I got many. And as you get them and you flip them up and you find the penalties of them, they are diverse enough that sometimes they don't matter, in which case it's kind of like a get-out-of-jail-free card. And other times it's just complete dreck, and you're like, what is going on?
So the real challenge with them, though, is that some effects will let you clear all the face-down ones, but not the face-up ones. So you need to either
you get to see in that
combat dress your wounds or use medkits to flip them all down and then actually remove them.
Good old trauma patch. So we've covered doors.
So I think the only thing we haven't really shown you yet is some of the cool stuff between missions. We talked briefly about the gear. That's one of the main ways that your runners improve.
And the patrols.
Right, and the patrols. So that's just how all the enemies move. They've got logic for which way the enemies travel.
In between the real-time phase, there is the game's organized activation phase, in which case all the players are working without strategizing, we found out, to let the game operate. And it's very hard, but you have to you have to police each other a little bit to be like, you're not allowed to strategize during the game's phase. We just speak to each other about where things go, and you follow the logistics of these cards to help the game guide itself against you as the runners. That's the balance.
And then the last part that we didn't see at all in the playthrough video, I'm going to show you here. This is the upgrade deck. So this is either
I want to see these.
Is
there something in there cool?
There's a few cool things in there.
Shockhand, enhanced data jack, cyber eyes. Is my sword in here?
Nope. These are specifically either.
Maneuvers. Oh, let's take a look at these ones.
Specifically, they're awakened. So this is all the things that you would get with Essence in Shadowrun versus your cyberware. So depending on which kind of character you are, you can get access to one of the 2 parts of the upgrade.
So awaken to upgrade, acrobatics. You can escape from up to 2 enemies. What?
Oh, gee, that would have been great.
God, that would have been so useful. And then we've got meditation and cyber eyes with basically Leroy. Enhanced data jack when you gain 1 hit when hacking a terminal. Amazing. Shockhand. Guys like, hey, what's up?
But again, these are big investments that your party's going to have to choose about who gets them and when in between various missions as you progress through the story.
So good.
Because of course it is also a narrative game.
And we got the gear.
Yeah.
We've already talked about the gear, but there's the Predator. Oh my God. So yeah, there you go. And we've got the screen. We've talked about the tokens. We've talked about the track. We've got all these cool little bad guys that do cool things.
And this is only some of them. This is just the ones that were used in the first mission. There are a lot more standees in the game.
What you're literally seeing here is the game's components for the first chunk of the game, right? This is
the intro mission, and you'll see these guys in other missions, but there's quite a diverse enemy pool. There's 8 or 9 different enemies.
So this is literally this is almost a game into itself. Most games come with this much componentry. You're getting a ton more.
Oh, this is a big game.
This is a big game. This is that if you are into so first off, if you're into Cyberpunk and Shadowrun, this is a game for you. If you are into real-time strategy games with components of non-real-time strategy, this game is for you. If you're into asymmetrical cooperative gameplay, which is kind of an interesting thing. This is like an asymmetrical gameplay. Because the Mastermind has an asymmetrical power base compared to the players. If you're interested in asymmetrical cooperative gameplay, this game is for you.
And I think most dungeon crawlers, you would expect the Mastermind to be controlling the enemies.
If you're interested
and not being a player.
Blaming Josh for his amazing development skills and his layout and artistic skills, this game is for you. If you're interested in supporting Catalyst, this game is for you. This game is for you. Just back it. So yeah, that's all the components. Thank you so much, Josh, for helping explain this entire conundrum of awesome. And thank you all for watching and backing this project, potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed. If you are interested, please check out YouTube, our YouTube 6 Sides of Gaming for everything Takedown related coming up, including some actual Shadowrun live play. And if you're at Gen Con during the launch of this campaign, we'd love to see you in person. We will be there, live playing this this on stream.
We shall, yeah.
Going
At the
through it all
Catalyst booth.
with the Zaibatsu, hopefully with the entire rule set learned in their brains and nothing kept hidden.
Yeah, well, we may still be able to pull a fast one on them there.
And comment below, tell us a bit about what you like about the game or not, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.
See you.